I think for us, man, what do you want to do about it? And that's how I view it. Is this is not time to freak out and panic and start acting like things are worse than they are. We lost a game. We didn't play well. And you know what? Why don't we go back to work and clean up those things that we talked about that hurt us yesterday in that game. And we do that, then we're going to have a chance to win the next one.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
Only do that if you're telling the official you're reporting.
The Lions hangover.
All right, what's up, everybody? It is Brad. This is the Lions Hangover podcast. Please find me on all social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Also, if you could, please, I'm asking you to do me a favor. This is the only favor I'm going to ask you to do. Subscribe to this show. I talk about the Detroit Lions, America's team. And if you like the Detroit Lions, that's why you're probably here, then you should subscribe to the show. And as you're doing that, please leave a review. Rate it 5 stars. Thanks, guys. And gals. Okay, I got some lady listeners. According to the demographics of the podcasts, the reports of the podcasts. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions, shall we? So yesterday, this past Sunday, you guys are probably listening to this on Tuesday now. The Lions lost, of course, their second loss of the season, 42-48 to the Buffalo Bills. Bills go to 11-3. Lions drop to 12-2. And after the Minnesota Vikings game, find themselves tied for first place in the division. So let's get into this game, okay? A lot of things went wrong for the Lions yesterday. A lot of things need to be corrected for the rest of the season. The Lions are decimated is the only word I could say by injury. The injury bug hit them the hardest yesterday. Okay, there's 4 guys potentially out for the season. I will talk about that in a second. Both offense and defensive line, even when people were healthy, couldn't do crap. Ragnow had one of his worst games ever. They couldn't get the ball running. Montgomery and Gibbs both didn't have a great day. Not running out of the backfield. We'll get into the stats in a little bit too. Defensively, holy cow, they gave up so many rushing yards. It's probably their worst rushing defense performance of the year. Josh Allen looking like the MVP that he is. He threw for well over 300 yards. I don't think he hit the 400-yard mark. I know Goff had damn near 500 yards throwing. There were some bright spots. It was still a game, even though we lost. But it was still a game right up until the end, even with some questionable calls. Now, a lot of people are calling for Dan Campbell's head for the onside kick with 12 minutes left. I don't care. To me, this is the same as going for it on 4th down. It's a gamble. It's the same as doing a fake punt or a fake field goal. It is all the same to me. I don't care about the onside kick. I disagree with it, but you only disagree with it because of the hindsight, okay? You kind of disagree with it because you have to announce you're going to do an onside kick now in the new NFL era, which that part is pretty stupid. I'm okay with only doing it in the 4th quarter. I'm okay with that part. Like, go ahead, keep that element, but there still should be a little bit of a surprise element to it. You shouldn't have to announce to the other team that you're going to attempt the onside kick. But, overall, it's a risky play anyway. I guess only 7 or 8% of onside kicks turn out successful. I feel like they were close to recovering that ball, though, with 12 seconds left. The second onside kick that they did, if only Jake Bates got a little bit lower to the ground. That was his problem. He wasn't the low man, and low man wins. With my days of playing football years ago, and I'm by no means an expert in playing football. I'm not like, oh, I used to play football, I know what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm trying to say. But one thing that I do remember from my coaches is low man wins. The lowest man always wins. Of course, you don't want to be on the ground. Don't be ridiculous. But if Jake Bates was the lowest man on the ground, he would have recovered that ball, and the Lions would have had another chance with 12 seconds left. My biggest problem, not the onside kicks, my biggest problem is the lack of use of the timeouts. You let Buffalo run the clock down when they were kicking that field goal. If you had called a timeout there, you would have had 2:40 to work with 2 timeouts left, okay? Now, ultimately, it doesn't matter because you didn't recover that onside kick. So let's say that play is the same. But had you recovered that onside kick, you would have only had 12 seconds. Granted, two timeouts, sure, but you got the ball after the kickoff on the lower side of the 2-minute warning. If you called a timeout for the field goal that they were kicking, you would have had the ball with 2:40. You would have been able to score real quick before the 2-minute warning. Perhaps you would have potentially been able to stop Buffalo with another offensive stand. You would have potentially given yourself more time had you kicked the onside kick and recovered it. Just, that's my biggest problem. As far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest coaching faux pas that I saw yesterday. I don't care about the onside kick. I don't agree with it, but again, that's hindsight. If we had recovered that first onside kick, you guys would be freaking loving Dan Campbell right now, and there would be no complaints about him doing that onside kick. So it is not a time to panic. We heard Dan Campbell say it at the beginning of the show. It is not a time to panic, okay? We will be fine. The Bears just got annihilated by the Vikings. Okay, as we're speaking, that game is wrapping up. The Bears have no chance of coming back. We will be tied for first place, but we will have the tiebreaker. So as long as we win out, we are okay. We had one game in our pocket we could lose. It is fine. It is fine. We will be okay. Just win out, and we're good to go. All right? So who do we have left? We have the Bears, we have the Niners, and we have the Vikings. That Vikings game is going to be huge. Yes, we can beat the Bears in Chicago. Yes, they could beat us. We can beat the Niners. We should beat the Niners. That is one of my guaranteed victory games. So it literally, as long as the Vikings come out, it will literally come down to that Vikings game as long as they win out. If they don't win out, then we're good to go. We just have to win that game. And that's going to be a huge game, man. It's going to be huge. Either way, it's going to be huge. We just can't lose anymore. We shouldn't lose anymore. I'm not saying that these teams that we're playing coming up are pushovers, but we should be okay. We should be okay. Let's talk, before we break down more of this Buffalo Bills game, let's just play a little game here of the Vikings. The Vikings, okay? Next week, we play the Bears. The Vikings play the Seahawks. The Vikings should beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks are not the team that they were probably in the middle part of the season, okay? They are playing for the division. They're playing for the division because the Rams are about to take them over if they haven't already. I'm not looking at their standings, but they're going to be in trouble if they don't win. I know that I feel like the Seahawks just lost this weekend. After the Seahawks game, December 29th, the Vikings are playing the Green Bay Packers. The Packers can beat the Vikings. The Packers are probably playing for a playoff spot. You know, they're going to be third place in our division. It is very possible if the Packers lose next week against, I'm not even sure who they're playing. Let's take a quick look at who the Packers are playing. Well, crap. The Packers are playing. They just annihilated the Seahawks. Okay. They are playing the Saints. They'll probably beat the Saints. Then they play that Vikings game. Then they play the Bears. Then that's it. That's it. So, the Packers probably going to make the playoffs, but they can. That's still going to be an important game against the Vikings. So it's not like anybody's going to be resting or anything like that. So they should be motivated. But regardless of what happens anywhere else, as long as the Lions win, we have to take care of our own business. Okay, it's not going to be easy. Like I said, we got bit by the injury bug yesterday. We lost 4 guys, potentially all of them for the season. Real quick, though, in regards to the injuries that the Lions have sustained, it's being reported from Dave Burkett of the Free Press that the Lions plan on signing linebacker Anthony Pittman off of the Jaguars practice squad. So, I mean, they're looking for pieces right now to fill in the gaps, but yeah, who knows what's going to happen. He, of course, played for Birmingham Groves and Wayne State, so a little bit of a local guy, and he's on his way back to town. So we will have to see how that works out. So last I heard, David Montgomery, MCL tear. He is seeking a second opinion, but that looks like he's going to be out for the year. Okay, I'm sure all of you guys have heard this by now. Khalil Dorsey, he's out with a leg injury, much like Aiden Hutchinson. And Carlton Davis, he's out potentially all season. With any luck, he'll be back late in the playoffs, potentially another Super Bowl arrival, should we make it that far. I see no reason why we can't. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to change. Next, we have Aleem McNeil. This is our biggest injury right here. Aleem McNeil. We are in trouble on our defensive line, and we desperately need help. We desperately need help along that defensive line. We need guys to step up. We need Broderick Martin to step up. We need, what's his name? O'Connor, the Eastern Michigan dude. Is that his name? He's got the Irish last name. He's got to step up. PFF graded him pretty high. I think he was like the 5th highest defensive guy. So we need more solid play from him. We have zero pass rush. Their offensive line, the Bills' offensive line, did everything to us yesterday. They ran the ball. Josh Allen had so much time. He barely any pressure. Where is Zadarius Smith, man? This is why we got him, to pick up some of that slack. It's just disappointing. We'll look at his stat line here in a second. Let's talk about some positives, okay? Potential positives. The backfield, the defensive backfield. It is possible Ifeatu Melifonwu will make his return next week in Chicago. It's very possible. Dan Campbell talked about it. He's a key piece. The thing is, he plays safety. So it's like you have a decision to make. Are you going to put Melifonwu at cornerback, or are you going to put Brian Branch at cornerback, who has experience playing cornerback before? Talent-wise, I would think Branch is better at playing a cornerback, but him and Joseph, they're still they're that last line of defense, and Branch still made huge plays in the backfield, against the Bills. He still had a solid game. Kirby Joseph, man, if there's ever a time where we need him to step up more, man. And I'm not saying he's playing bad. It's just, where's those interceptions at? We need more interceptions, guys. Before it was him and Branch, they were the top 2, defensive backs in the league, man, and Joseph was right up there with interceptions, near the top. And it's like, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. It's been a few weeks without some interceptions. I need more interceptions, guys. Please help a Lions fan out and get some interceptions. Some more. I don't know what's happening with Mosley, but it's time to get the cape out of the closet, because we need a superhero. So if there's ever a time for him to return and step up, now's the time. There's no excuse for him not to get on the field next week in Chicago. We need something big. And Mosley was like one of the best defensive backs. He was a highly coveted free agent. And, since his injuries, he hasn't been back yet. And I don't know why he hasn't been back. I hope everything is okay. I hope it's not turning into like another James Houston situation where he's just not fitting in and he's not producing, like he's just not up to speed yet. But man, for him to be listed as an inactive yesterday, it's like I'm really rooting for this guy. We need him to play. We need him to step up. And now he's going to get his chance. What else? Gibbs. I love Montgomery. He's on my fantasy team. This hurts me personally more than it hurts the Lions. Let me tell you, because Gibbs is more than capable of taking over the running back duties all by himself. More than capable. Of course, Craig Reynolds is going to be there to pick up some of the slack. We've got Sione Vaki, which, by the way, Sione Vaki only played 1 or 2 games at running back, right, in college, and he was a defensive back in college, and he felt before he was drafted that he was going to be drafted as a defensive back, that he said he was an NFL defensive back. He's not an NFL running back, and now all of a sudden we have him at running back, which is fine. I trust Brad Holmes. But however, you have a guy who had a good career as a defensive back, and you are thin on the defensive back field. So I'm just saying, you have a weapon that, could easily make the switch. And it might be worth taking a look at. I don't know how possible it is. I don't know how crazy I sound right now, but let's just not forget that you have him in your arsenal, and he's currently not playing. So technically he has like fresh legs. He's only gotten like a handful of carries all year. He's mostly a special teams guy. So we're just looking for answers because we're starting to run pretty freaking thin. The McNeil injury is the one that does scare me the most. Ndamukong Suh tweeted out a photo of either him or somebody wearing his jersey. It's unclear, but he tweeted this photo out, and man, it got my imagination running. This kind of fits the bill, right? Like, I don't even know what kind of shape he would be in. The guy in the photo, to me, looks about 30 pounds too light, lacking muscle. So I feel like Suh is probably, and I'm not trying to start a buzz or anything like that. There's, 90% chance Suh's not interested, the Lions not interested, or he's just not going to come here. But let's just play pretend for a second, shall we? Is he a Dan Campbell type guy? I think he could be. I don't think he's a cancer in the locker room type of a dude. I think he's a weird dude. Personality wise, he's probably his own guy. I don't think he's that dirty on the field as he's been painted, but however he is painted, he still could, assuming he's been working out and he's relatively the same. He's now a need, man. He's now a need. If he's in shape, why not give him a call and be like, hey, we got a few extra bucks for you. You want to come back for 5 games? You want to come back for 5 games, buddy? Play a little defense, for us. It's really tempting though, isn't it? But I think we're probably romanticizing the Suh that we had 12 years ago, and not so much the Suh that we would get now. I don't think the dude played at all last year. I don't know how well he would adapt right away. Like, it's fun to think about. I wonder if he thinks about us. And now we sound like, estranged couple who haven't seen each other in a while. It's like, we think about you all the time. Do you ever think about us? I'm thinking chances are probably 0 that he thinks about us. And the Lions probably don't think about him, but us fans think about him because especially right now, holy cow, would we need somebody like him. But, I think we just love the idea of what he could be and not necessarily realize what he likely is right now, which is a guy that hasn't played football in over a year and a half. So I don't think, and he's 37, 38 years old, I don't think we would be getting the top performer. However, we need bodies. We need bodies. Why not at least put him through a physical or something? Give him a few bucks, fly him into town. Let's see what he can still do. Is his speed still comparable? Why not throw a few bucks at Aaron Donald? Or, hey, a few bucks at which one's retired? JJ Watt? I know he already kind of said it. It would be tempting, but he's just not interested. He's got a cushy job, being an analyst for CBS. I'm just saying there's some retired options out there that maybe we should look into, especially now that we're a little bit more desperate, because the guys you brought in, Davenport, injured. DJ Reader, off and on injured. Ali McNeil, out for the season. Hutch, come on. We still have so much more football left before we get Hutch back. We're so thin on defense, man. We need to take a risk on something because at least we will know we tried. You don't have to play him. You're not going to have to pay him much. There's not much football left. What the pros and cons of it at the beginning of the season versus now are different. Okay, I feel like there's little risk, high reward if it works out. If it doesn't work out, then it's not a problem. You don't have to play them much. You just put them in there, and whenever somebody needs a breather, just get one of these guys, man. Just one of these has-beens with maybe just enough left in the gas tank. You're gonna have to make a move because the next man up, I don't think is good enough, and they haven't been good enough, right? They have not been good enough. And let's say by chance Sue is not a locker room guy. Let's say he is a cancer to the locker room. Okay. Who's a bigger cancer to the locker room? Him or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? And that's nothing against necessarily CJ, GJ, We made it through an entire season. Us as fans embraced him. He wasn't the right fit. He talked some smack afterward. What if that happens with Sue? We don't care. Sue is not an outspoken person. We didn't hear much garbage coming from him while he played here. He just kind of kept to himself. That's his thing. He just wants he's worried about him. But that which makes us like a destination for anybody right now. What kind of an impact would he have negatively in the locker room at this point in the season? Chances are him or anybody else would be so excited to join a team like the Lions right now, who are probably 1.5 players away, and the reserves are coming. Sooner or later, Anzalone will be back. Okay, we don't have to go deep into the playoffs to get Anzalone back. It'll probably be like our first playoff game, he'll be back. Let's say there's an outside chance for Anzalone to be back for the Vikings game. Right? We honestly don't know. We haven't heard much about it, but we honestly don't know. And what's the rule? Where was his break at in his arm? Can he not play with a cast on? Like, what's the deal there? I would love to see him back out on the field. We definitely needed him against the Bills. Josh Allen did everything, man. And, the tight ends on the Bills, they ran us over. They had a huge day, right? And what's his name? Johnson? Was it Johnson? The guy that used to play for us for a second? He had a huge game too. Yeah, we'll get into the stats. Let's get into the stats here. I just wanted to get that stuff out of the way. However, I want to bring it back around and make my final point here before we get into the stats and wrap this crap up. The Lions are 12-2. They're not 8-7. They're not 8-6 or anything right now. They're 12-2. There are too many people freaking out, thinking it's the end of the world right now. Too many people writing the Lions off at this very moment. It's driving me nuts. But this is what you get when you have a lot of success in a short amount of time. You get bandwagon fans, and these are the ones that are first to jump ship anytime things go wrong. Have you guys not been watching anything over the last 2.5 seasons? The Lions are not a team that just folds, okay? We are legit Super Bowl contenders. Legit Super Bowl contenders. We've lost 2 games this season. We just had an 11-game win streak. We lost to another Super Bowl contender. We didn't get blindsided by the Carolina Panthers. We didn't get blindsided by, who else sucks this year? By the Bears. We didn't get blindsided by any other. Jacksonville. We played them this year. We tore them up. We have destroyed teams we're supposed to destroy. The teams that we've kept it close, we have kept it close. We played like garbage yesterday, and they beat us by 6 points. The Bills beat us by 6 points. We spotted them 14 points before we did anything against them. We had a horrible game, and we lost by 6 points. Yes, injuries are running deep on defense. It will be okay. Reinforcements are on the way. They are. It'll be okay. Everybody needs to calm down, okay? Dan Campbell was right. It's not a time to freak out, okay? They have good coaches. They have good players. It'll be okay. Trust me, guys. We've seen enough football from this regime to know that they know what they're doing. Yes, I wish things have went differently, but we knew a loss was going to come at some point. We knew a loss was going to come at some point. I really thought, even with 12 seconds left, I was telling my dad, I was like, I think we can still win this. I posted it on social media. I think we can still win this. Up until they recovered that onside kick, I really did not feel like we were out of it, because I've seen comebacks before. I'm just not worried at all. We lost to the Bills. We will see them again in the Super Bowl, and we will be a different team. It takes extreme focus and extreme momentum to have an 11-game win streak, and it takes even more to have a 12-game win streak, okay? This game, I feel, and this is what I was trying to say in the preview show, I know I probably sounded like a wacko. I feel a loss now resets us. It refocuses us. It comes at the right time. We're now remotivated. The pressure isn't there to think, oh my God, how many more wins are we going to get? Okay, it's now we have a bad taste in our mouth. Let's not do that again. We're in the home stretch, okay? We have this. We're playing the right teams. Man, you just get off of a loss. Now you need something for an ego boost, right? And I'm not worried about any weather. I don't want to hear about Jared Goff and the weather. I don't care if he's wearing gloves next week in Chicago. All right? We're playing the right teams coming up. We got the Bears. We got the Niners. These are going to be good rebound teams. We're going to establish our dominance. I have no worries about this. We will be okay. There will be 11 people on offense. There will be 11 people on defense. We will have a team, and they will play great. I don't care about injuries. That's excuses. It's not like they're picking bums up off the street that have never seen a football before. These are guys that they know can perform. It literally will be okay. Everybody just needs to calm down. 12-2 is freaking amazing. The only thing I'm worried about, I don't care where we have to go play. It should be at Ford Field in the playoffs I'm referring to. I don't care where we play. If the Lions, for some reason, let's see, they lose these next 3 games, okay, and they finish 12-5, who knows if they'll have a home playoff game? I don't care. We're going to the Super Bowl. This like, I can just see it, man. I know what's going to happen. We have that team. We are that team this year. And now I probably sound like some Lions slappy who just, can't accept reality. No, I'm telling you, it will be okay. Now's not the time to jump ship after 2 losses so far out of 14 games. Who would be freaking out at this point? The Lions are 12-2. There's a good chance they're going to be 14-2 coming into the Vikings game at home. And you're going to tell me that the Lions aren't going to be motivated to destroy the Vikings in Detroit? It's going to be potentially for the number 1 seed. Let's see who the Eagles are playing real quick. How are the Eagles going to finish out their season? Okay, the Eagles play the Commanders next week. While the Eagles should win, it is in Washington. You got to think the Commanders can maybe pull one out, okay? And let's say they don't. The week after that, they play the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys are coming into Philly. The Cowboys are playing for their lives, and they're playing better with Cooper Rush at quarterback. Okay, they got a little something going on. Now, yes, the Eagles should win, but the Cowboys could pull one off. So I'm just saying it's not a cakewalk for the Eagles. Now, that last week, they're playing against the Giants. Oh, my God, could the Giants do something crazy and beat the Eagles, sending them into a postseason collapse? Yeah, probably not, but it could happen. Anyways, Eagles, they don't have a cakewalk, and I don't honestly care. What the Eagles are 12-2. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but I'm pretty sure the Lions are still the number 1 seed. Don't they have the tiebreaker against the Eagles as of right now? Like I said, we had one game in our pocket that we didn't have to care about, and look, I'm just not worried. I called it. It's fine. The Lions were going to lose somewhere. I'm glad they lost to a team like the Bills, who we will see again. The Bills needed this victory a whole lot more than we did, I'll tell you that. So, all right, let's get into this. Start breaking this down stat-wise. Josh Allen started things off with a 1-yard touchdown rush, making it 7-0. Josh Allen gets the second touchdown rush with 2:01 left in the first quarter, making it 14-0. Here we go at the start of the second quarter. Tim Patrick with a 12-yard touchdown pass. I loved how he dove into the end zone. That was amazing. That's a good photo, too. Making that 14-7. Buffalo. Now we have James Cook with a 6-yard touchdown rush, making it 21-7 Buffalo. Then we have Dan Skipper, and holy cow, Dan Skipper, he reported eligible and his touchdown stood. I love seeing that big guy run, and that was probably my favorite play of the game. 21-14 Buffalo. Now in the third quarter, we have James Cook touchdown, 28-14. Now the Khalil Shakir 3-yard pass. Well, let's get back to that James Cook 41-yard touchdown rush. 28-14. Again, Bills, they ran all over us. That shouldn't happen. We still have a good run defense, man. Their offensive line just overpowered us. They just wanted it more. Aleem McNeil was still in the game at this point, and it just was not happening for us. Okay, now we get to the Khalil Shakir 3-yard touchdown pass from Josh Allen, 35-14. This was probably the closest where I was like, oh, man, we're down by 21 points. We need to start getting some stuff. Well, guess what? Amon-Ra St. Brown gets a 66-yard pass from Jared Goff, mostly yards after catch, making it 35-21. Now, Tyler Bass, 50-yard field goal. That was after a missed attempt earlier in the game. 38-21 Bills. Then we get Jahmyr Gibbs, 12-yard touchdown pass, 38-28. So now we're within 10. This is when the onside kick happens. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. So, that didn't work out. And then they had a huge return off of that. That leads to a Ray Davis 5-yard pass from Josh Allen, 45-28. So now we're down again, 3 scores. Jahmyr Gibbs gets that 1-yard touchdown rush. Now it's back to 10, 45-35. Next, we have another Tyler Bass 41-yard field goal. See, the Lions defense starting to play strong here, 2 out of the 3 last offensive drives for the Bills ended up in field goals, which that wasn't happening earlier in the game. So now the tide is slowly turning. And you can make an argument that if this game was 5 minutes longer, who knows what would have happened. Unfortunately, though, that puts the game just slightly out of reach. So, Jameson Williams, he gets that late touchdown 3-yard pass from Goff, of course, making it 48-42. Lions would have needed another touchdown and not a field goal. So that part kind of sucks. But JMO with that late touchdown, and that is the final score, 48-42. So let's talk about the personalized stats. Let's do the Bills first. Josh Allen was 23 of 34 for 362 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, quarterback rating of a 122.4. James Cook, 14 carries for 105 yards. Josh Allen tore us up, 11 carries for 68 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. So they had 4 rushing touchdowns on the day and 2 passing touchdowns. Ty Johnson, he was the guy. He had 5 receptions for 114 yards, his longest being 33. Keon Coleman, 1 catch for 64 yards. That sucked. Here they are, the tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, 4 catches, 53 yards, and Dawson Knox, 2 catches for 42 yards. That really kind of bummed me out. Khalil Shakir led the team with receptions. He had 6, but only 39 yards. He did have the touchdown, and Ray Davis had 2 catches for 14 yards with that other touchdown, and a couple other bums caught the ball too, but they didn't do anything with it. Their leading tackler was Terrell Bernard, followed by Taron Johnson and Christian Benford. Oh, and let's talk about, well, they had 3 sacks on us. Benford had that sack. Ed Oliver had a sack, and Greg Rousseau had a sack. We fumbled the ball twice, and this is sort of what they've got some interceptions this year, but remember when I was breaking down the stats in the preview game, they did cause a lot of fumbles. And then, one of those fumbles was on Goff, which I was worried about. That seems to be their specialty a little bit. And Amon-Ra St. Brown had a fumble too, which is uncharacteristic. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I mean, and he had a freaking huge day anyway. So he more than made up for his fumble. But yeah, the fumbles definitely an issue for the Lions. Of course, former Lion Sam Martin, he was their punter, and he had that 1 kick for 51 yards. There was 65,327 people there. I will say I was at the Bills game for Thanksgiving in 2022. Definitely more Bills fans at that game than there was at this game. So now we're on to the Lions. Jared Goff, 38 of 59 for 494 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 crap sacks, and a rating of 118.9. So he had a pretty good day. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 carries, 31 yards, 1 touchdown. David Montgomery, 5 carries, only 4 yards. I heard he was playing with that MCL injury during the game, but it just was too much for him, so he had to come out. Jared Goff did carry the ball 2 times for 13 yards. Jared Goff, man, he's starting to move around, in that pocket a little bit. Amon-Ra St. Brown, huge day, 14 catches, 193 yards, only 1 touchdown, as long as being 66 yards. Of course, Sam Laporta, he also had a huge day, 7 catches for 111 yards, no touchdowns for him. Jahmyr Gibbs, 5 catches, big game for him out of the backfield, 83 yards. That does put him over 110 yards of offense for himself between the catching and running the ball. Jama, only 3 catches. He had that 1 drop. It wouldn't have mattered because it came back on a holding call. Ragnow had a horrible day. Which that's not going to happen again. You cannot tell me that the best center in football is going to just start sucking all of a sudden. So he'll rebound. Don't worry. The game will be back the way we like it. Next week against the Bears. Tim Patrick, you can tell they are getting him more involved in the offensive scheme. He caught the ball 4 times with that 1 touchdown, and Montgomery even had 4 catches for 31 yards before he came out of the game. Dan Skipper with that 9-yard touchdown pass. Freaking love Dan Skipper. That was amazing. Good for him, man. The fumble. Amon-Ra had the fumble. Jared Goff had the fumble, which Kevin Zeitler recovered, so good thing he was there. It was kind of borderline. I really thought Amon-Ra was going to be down, but as we saw it on the replay, clearly that ball was coming out loose. Brian Branch led the team with 15 total tackles. Love Brian Branch. 8 of those were solo. 2 tackles were for loss. Jack Campbell, not a good PFF day, but he did have 11 tackles on the day. He's just doing what he can. He doesn't have any help in that middle of the field, man. Kirby Joseph, he had 8 tackles, and then there's a bunch of dudes whose names I don't know, man. Ben Neiman, he had 5 tackles. Ezekiel Turner had 4. There's Tyrion Arnold. He had 4. I thought Arnold had a good game, too. It's Pat O'Connor. There he is. That's the Eastern Michigan guy. He had 2 tackles on the day. He was rated high for the PFF, though. Onzarike was out there. Let's say Sione Vaki was out there. He had 2 tackles. That was for special teams. So Jack Fox, he punted the ball 3 times for 167 yards inside the 21 time. His average was 55.7. Jack Fox still getting it done, man. Okay, let's get these team stats out of the way. We'll wrap this up. Lions had 30 first downs. The Bills had 28. Lions were 6 for 13 on third down. The Bills were 5 for 10. Both teams were 100% on fourth down. Bills only did it 1 time. The Lions did it 3 times for fourth down. Total plays of offense, the Bills had 68 plays, Lions had 77. Total yards, 559 yards of offense the Lions defense gave up to the Bills. The Lions, of course, had 521 yards. Most of those, of course, were passing. The Bills had 12 total drives. The Lions had 11. Yeah, there they are. The passing yards, rushing yards. Okay. Yeah, total yards rushing. The Bills had 197. This is the worst the Lions have been burned all year. And is this the time of year where 3 years ago in 2022, including this year as 1 year, that they got burned in Carolina for all those rushing yards? Maybe this is just that time of year where the Lions just give up that bummer of a rushing defense performance. So, but if I remember right, they did rebound the following week, so let's look for that. Let's stay optimistic. Red zone, the Bills were 5 for 7. The Lions were 5 for 5 in the red zone, so keep it up. I mean, we scored 42 points and lost. The problem's not on offense. Now, we did fail to establish the run. The score definitely would have been different if we could have ran for 100-something yards. I think we will rebound, not just because we're playing the Bears, but just because I feel like they're going to be re-energized, refocused, and motivated to just kick ass. So look for a big running performance for Gibbs next week. I'm guessing right now 120 yards rushing and 30 yards receiving. So 150 yards total offense from Gibbs. I'm calling it now. I'm calling my shot, bros. We only had the 1 turnover. That was the Amon-Ra St. Brown. Time of possession, the Bills had the ball for 32 minutes, 42 seconds, which means we had the ball 27 minutes, 18 seconds. That's it for stats. This has been a super long episode. I feel like I ranted about a lot. I had a lot to say. We don't need you, bandwagon fans. We don't need you. Not if you're going to give up so easily. I feel like bandwagon fans and the national broadcasters, they're all the same people, because it's like there's just so much negativity coming from, like, I listen to the Rich Eisen show. I love Rich Eisen, but his little minion guys, his co-hosts and stuff, who I also appreciate, but they're like the naysayers on Dan Campbell. And it's like, what are you? We're 12-2. Shut up. Like, we were 12-1 going into that game. What are you complaining about? Shut up. Just because you disagree with it doesn't mean it's the wrong way to do it. Dan Campbell's coaching style works for our team. And honestly, I freaking love it. I love the aggressiveness. I love being surprised when I see Dan Skipper running out to catch a pass. And this time it worked out and he got a touchdown. Big guy deserves a touchdown. You know who else deserves a touchdown? Penei Sewell. Get him a touchdown, and it's coming too. That dude can do it all, man. He can run outside. He can catch. He was even going to throw the ball. So I don't care what any national... They're just trying to get clicks. They're trying to get listens. They're trying to stir up conversation. They are purposefully saying things for you to disagree with. Don't fall for their trap and be brainwashed by them. We know what we have here, and it is working. So just stay positive. Just stay positive. Trust me, it will be okay. The Lions are going to destroy the Bears next week. They're going to destroy the Niners next week, and everybody's going to be talking about how the Lions are going to be in the Super Bowl again. Nothing has changed for me. Has it really changed for you? It's going to be okay. I know that's like the common message, the theme. It's going to be okay. Settle down, everybody. All right, that's it for me. I'm out of here. I feel like I've probably annoyed the crap out of my upstairs neighbor. I feel like I'm talking so loud. But that's it for me. You guys have a good rest of your night. I'll be back in a couple days with a preview show previewing the Bears, and I feel like that'll be a repeat. I feel like I could probably just re-air the the last Bears preview show. All right, I'm not going to do that. Settle down. I will have fresh new content for the same old Bears team. All right, that's it, though. You guys have a good rest of your night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.